Social and political progress in America has almost always been preceded by protest. The Boston Tea Party set off the American Revolution in 1773. 1913, women poured into the streets demanding the right to vote. And in 1963, the March on Washington brought the fight for racial equality and jobs to the foot of the Lincoln Memorial.
Minor scuffles did occur between the demonstrators and hecklers.
The Vietnam War became the focus of student-led protests to promote peace. Now the nation is focused on Black Lives Matter and the anthem protests that started with 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Protesting is a guaranteed right, but some call this unpatriotic. Matter of Fact correspondent Diane Roberts looks at those courting controversy for the cause.
Since Colin Kaepernick's peaceful public protest started in August, he has been joined by other NFL players, like Broncos linebacker Brandon Marshall, who lost 2 endorsements for his public dissent, but gained another. While taking a difficult stand, he wants to effect change too. For example, he has plans to work with the Denver Police Department on shoot, don't shoot training.
Truth be told, I'm not sure how long I'm gonna do it. You know, I would be lying if I said I did. So, which is what took me so long to do it in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Because I was wondering, what's the end game? You know, how long is it gonna take for change?
Some players have chosen to raise their fists instead of kneeling, like the Raiders' Malcolm Smith, the Rams' Robert Quinn, and Chargers offensive lineman Chris Hairston. Tensions ran high last week as the Carolina Panthers hosted Kaepernick's 49ers. After 5 tumultuous days of protests over the police shooting death of Keith Lamont Scott. Panthers quarterback Cam Newton wore a shirt pregame with civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Many black players, like the Seahawks' Michael Bennett, say they need a white colleague to join the demonstration and make it real for others. Professional soccer player Megan Rapinoe, who is white, has joined her male counterparts. Other women have been on board with the protest, too. During a WNBA playoff game September 21st, the entire Indiana Fever team knelt during the Star-Spangled Banner and were joined by 2 members of the opposing team. As for the NBA, league rules mandate players stand for the national anthem, leaving some players trying to figure out what they're going to do as their season is about to begin. The league itself plans to work with players, offering mentoring or career development for young people of color. In Washington, for Matter of Fact, I'm Diane Roberts.
Diane, thank you. George Atallah is with the National Football League Players Association, which represents over 5,000 current and former NFL players. Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Have you had official conversations with Colin Kaepernick?
We have. We've talked to Colin and a number of other players across the league about, obviously the demonstrations that are taking place. And those conversations are usually around 2 things. Ensure that you understand what the labor laws are with respect to what you're doing on the demonstrations, but also understand that if you're going to demonstrate, be confident in your message and clearly present that message to people so that there's no confusion about why you're taking the position you are.
Roger Goodell has been supportive, mostly, and then he said the other day this: "I support our players when they want to see change in society, and we don't live in a perfect society." And then he went on the other hand, we believe very strongly in patriotism in the NFL. So It sort of sets up a contradiction, right? There's this idea of protest is supported, but patriotism is against protest.
The very definition of patriotism is to stand up for what you believe in. I mean, we're in an election year, as you know. Our union has gotten behind the voter registration movement precisely because we understand the history that our athletes and other citizens in America have had to fight for that very right. So you don't get there by simply wrapping yourself in the flag and standing up for a country that still has issues that we want to resolve.
Are there players who are angry and frustrated that protests are happening?
Absolutely there are. Absolutely there are, just like there are a lot of Americans that are. But I think the underlying discussions are being had between our players about how things can change, how they can participate in making that change. And those are very constructive. And those are the types of things that you want to have when you're talking about a diverse group of young men, frankly, who have all sorts of different political beliefs.
How come there have been no white players who've taken a knee in protest?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question, but I know that Colin Kaepernick, for example, has had several conversations, Nate Ebner being one of them, who's a former military person who played in our league, who supports the underlying message of what Colin is trying to raise and other players are trying to raise. I think just yesterday, Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors had a very smart position where he said, you know, I believe that what's happening is wrong. I don't need to demonstrate to be able to use my platform as an athlete during this press conference to share with you that there are injustices that are taking place that need to be fixed. So athletes, I think, are starting to wake up and realize the impact of their voices, and they're expressing that in different ways, and I think that's a good thing.
Do you think history judges Colin Kaepernick, who I think is certainly getting death threats and the center of a lot of hostile conversations? Do you think history judges him differently, sort of as people now judge Muhammad Ali very differently today than they did when his protests were taking place?
Yeah, it could be. And I think history is going to look at this moment. You know, I look at it more from a very macro perspective. History is going to look at this moment and realize that we can't expect our athletes to just shut up and play. They're members of our community. They are citizens of this country. They have the exact same rights that you and I have, and they're exercising those rights. And I think that's fantastic, and it's all coming together, obviously, in a very important election year. So when we get to November, you're going to see a lot of this conversation around athletes being part of the social movement only grow.
George Atala, nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. You
Thank
bet.
you.